In the tumultuous summer of 2020, during a racial protest, in the town of Birmingham, Alabama, a Confederate monument was overturned. Protesters discovered beneath it lie a buried manuscript entitled, The Book of Lucifer. The Book of Lucifer is an account of famous historical religious stories as retold by Satan, aka Lucifer Jehovahson. The volumes contained herein are highly controversial, and it is advised that the weak at heart steer clear from it. Skilled literary professor, Lord Cain de Wilt, will read excerpts while also including interviews and testimonies of people whose lives have been forever changed by this book.
Dearest reader, the following account is perhaps one you will find to be the most controversial and informative story held within the confines of this archive. It is the true, unfiltered story of my relationship with my wicked, wayward younger brother, that old scullion, lily-livered lout, Jesus. It is under his influence that there is a recurring theme throughout Scripture. A pattern of the eldest son being shamed while the youngest son is exalted. You see this malicious motif making itself most evident in the tales of Cain and Abel, Esau and Isaac, Moses and Aaron, Manasseh and Ephraim, all modeled after myself and Jesus. I believe that people of the future will be able to recognize this was intentionally done by Jesus to reinforce his perverted philosophy and to specifically spite me in this tale where it was I, not Jesus, who had to drink from the bitter cup.
The Book of Lucifer has sparked outrage with its retellings of historical events. Even those who decide to accept it as part of the biblical canon are unsure of where it exactly fits. It has caused a dangerous, damaging discourse among Satanist Christians and atheists alike. Lucifer insists that the scriptures have been manipulated by multiple individuals over the span of its history. Among the many topics that Lucifer speaks on is the paternity of Jesus. Lucifer stated in his book that Joseph never truly recovered from Mary having a child outside of their marriage. He insists that Joseph never truly saw Jesus as his real son. Lucifer quotes Joseph as saying, "Not through me and of the house of David, but by way of the Holy Ghost and the house of Jehovahson."
Well, here's the thing about it that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. But the truth is that if, God was Jesus' dad, then, let's think about this for a minute. That means that Jesus could not have been the Messiah that everybody thought he was supposed to be. Because the Messiah comes from the house of David. But Jesus didn't come from the house of David. No, Joseph did, but Jesus didn't share no DNA with Joseph. So, somebody needed to call Maury, Jehovah, you are the baby daddy, Joseph, you ain't the baby daddy. Whew. You ever seen Maury? They took it off the air because he died, but you know what I'm saying? So when you think about it, the Muslims and the Jews is both telling the truth when they say that Jesus, he ain't who he say he is. Just like his old lying ass daddy.
Lucifer also points out, with great schadenfreude, that Joseph scandalously did not attend the public crucifixion of Jesus. Nor has there ever been mention of his brothers and sisters being in attendance, brothers and sisters who Lucifer claims hated their eldest sibling most passionately. Also, Lucifer makes monumental claims about the secret shrouded sexuality of Jesus and other rogue religious figures. Lucifer depicts God as a nefarious narcissistic being consumed with his own power. It is his account of the life of Jesus, however, that has some certain faith leaders smashing out the stained glass windows of their own houses of worship.
The Jesus that you know and the Jesus that I know are the same person, while at the same time, they are not. Once upon a time, in a land far to the east, there was a handsome young lad who had been born in the lowest of circumstances, at the midnight hour, in the very, shall we say, humblest settings. He was anointed to be kind, honest, honorable, a hard-working shepherd unto his people, and his name was Krishna. Jesus, that calumniating, beef-witted fleshmonger, found himself deeply bound in a sultry relationship with Lord Sri Krishna. Ah, what a dangerously delightful scene we have here. Picture it, Jesus and Krishna, those powerful paragons of divinity, finding themselves at the wheel of the tempest of love. But of course, Father had to come charging in like a brazen bull in a china shop, wagging his holy fat fickle finger and forbidding it all. After all, we can't have a smart-mouthed carpenter from Nazareth and a playful cowherd from Gokul running off together, now can we?
What do you mean you love each other?
But Father, I love him.
It must have been that old soft stepfather of thine, Joseph, because I did not raise thee like this. First of all, he is a he. And he is a foreigner. He has all the virtues I dislike, and none of the vices that I admire.
My mom was 14 and engaged to someone else. I consider myself to be the normal one in the family.
No, I am faultless. Science has proven the gender of the child is linked to the mother's immunity. This is all Mary's fault. Just stick to the script, Jesus. You've got crosses to bear. And Krishna, well, you've already got 16,108 wives already.
Jesus wept. Oh, it was quite the salacious celestial scandal. But alas, some romances were never meant to be, especially when Jehovah the Jealous has a penchant for maliciously micromanaging the universe. It was true indeed that Krishna already had many beautiful wives, but it was exceedingly more obvious that what he and Jesus found in each other was for both of them the truest of love. I believe the denial of Jesus' pursuit of a relationship with Krishna morphed him into the very monster he became, twisting divine potential into a tragic tapestry of unfulfilled longing and dark transformation. An abandoned lover left to endure eternity. Many have pondered why I refer to this dog-hearted scoundrel as Jesus and never as Christ. The reason is rather deliciously simple. Christ was the title given to his beloved, Krishna, the Anointed One. Such a twist of fate, would you not agree?
The Book of Lucifer makes bodacious, unapologetic claims about the true character of Jesus. To better understand, we asked former Christian minister Dr. Marlo Allen to help explain how important the sexuality of Jesus really is.
Is the sexuality of Jesus Christ important? Well, I'm going to say that it is, because a lot of people have been persecuted because of Christianity's rules about sexuality. If it turns out that, Jesus was out here laying hands on fellas, then every fella who done laid hands on a fella or every lady who done laid hands on a lady need to be excused like Jesus was excused. Cause what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and what's good for the Messiah is good for the people who follow the Messiah. So yeah, the sexuality of Jesus is very important. Everybody needs to know what he was doing, when he was doing it, how he was doing it, who he was doing it with, and the frequency.
Susan was also a former televangelist minister and world-renowned legendary gospel singer who turned away from Jesus when her eyes were opened to the lies of God by the Book of Lucifer.
All my life I was led to believe everything I was ever told about Jesus. But you know what? Nobody ever told me he was a low-down two-faced jackal. And to tell you the truth, if someone had told me that, I would have rejected it. I would have called them a liar. I would have said something like, "You are going to hell." But the Book of Lucifer, honey, let me tell you about the Book of Lucifer. It told the same stories as the Bible but from a different point of view. Why Jesus running around with 12 men and not having children? Why is there no mention of Judas until he does his bad deed? It's crazy. I was a best-selling gospel artist with Grammys and Dove Awards, and seen the dark underside of the Christian music industry, the drugs, the sex, the secret dark rituals. I watched rich Christians use tax-free money to buy politicians to legislate in their favor. I was looking for a way out, something better. The Book of Lucifer showed me God was powerless against me, because just like the damn government, his power was only the power I had given him. So when I found out God was just a bunch of baloney, got me down here being mean to people over something his son was doing and never got punished for, then I was like, fuck it. What's going on Team Satan? You know what I'm saying? I had one of them big mega churches and we used to always have to hire new organist and pianist, because after a few weeks on the job someone would point out the boy was sweet. Y'all know, like Jesus, he had a streak of lavender, as they say. So I read the Book of Lucifer and I thought about it and decided my life would be better off without God, and it has been so. Now I sing a new song, a song about Lucifer and his unconditional love. I still smoke weed too, Dr. Marlo Allen be having that good.
Jesus, that old wretched, wheezy, wanton, witless impostor who cloaks his mendacity in the tattered rags of virtue. He prattles of goodness as though it were his birthright, yet behind those deceitful smiles lies a heart as black as the darkest night. With every pious utterance he ensnares the simple-minded, spinning sticky webs of false benevolence, while his hateful hands are permanently stained with the blood of hypocrisy. A deceiver of the highest order, he peddles false hope to the desperate and to the downtrodden, all the while reveling in his own self-righteousness. Indeed, he is not who he boldly claims to be, madam. He is such a covetous cur that he even had an empty ceremony on earth, whereas Father did anoint him, saying the old familiar words that he used to say unto me.
This is my beloved son.
But with the spiteful addition of,
in whom I am well pleased.
But our little prepubescent trickster had already tasted the thrill of rebellion once before, hadn't he? When he first attempted to run away from his destiny, he was found nestled among the elders in the temple, clearly relishing in their attention, like a proud pig wallowing in a puddle of mud. It seems even at that tender age he had a flair for the dramatic. Yet what a clever ruse it was. After that little escapade, he bid his time before pulling off a far grander vanishing act at 12, leaving us all to wonder where he'd scampered off to for nearly 2 decades. That's right, madam. 18 years of his life are all but of course missing from your Bible, your Torah, and your beautifully written words of hatred in the Quran. But whence did he go? According to the Circle 7 Quran written by the allegedly noble Drew Ali, he travelled to the mystical, timeless land of India. While in India, he landed as a monk in the temple of his boyfriend, Krishna. Krishna, possessor of stunning swagger and righteous riz. Verily, how many a tale doth seek to paint Jesus as the epitome of masculine vigour, but those who know him well, who truly know him well, who lingered in his company, might tell a different story. One where his affections for his muscle-bound male disciples ran deeper than mere camaraderie. Society, in its ever-florid imagination, has conjured bias-confirming fantasies of him entangled in romantic liaisons with beautiful women. Even of him marrying women. The tale spun from thin air, each of them false. For the truth, much like his affections, lay elsewhere, though such matters remain conveniently obscured by the faithful. Verily, I labour with thee. The only woman Jesus ever loved was his mother. When Jesus, that old muzzled, milk-livered popinjay, reached the ripe age of 33, an age it seems when divinity must settle down, father's patience, ever long-suffering, was finally exhausted. With the air of one summoning a tardy child to supper, he demanded that Jesus promptly return to Judea at once.
Well, let me just go check in on Jesus and see how things are going and what he's up to.
I can't believe it. If you think that's bad, we've got 2 sets of 10 commandments. The first set lets you kill and steal, but you couldn't eat meat and cheese. Stop tickling me. Stop tickling me. Stop tickling me. Oh, Jesus, stop tickling me. Nothing could ruin this moment.
Jesus Hokey Pokey Christ.
The H is for hokey pokey? What's hokey pokey? You put your right foot in, you take your right foot out. You put your right foot in and you shake it. Wait, I'll explain it later. It's a whole thing. It's a thing.
How sharper than a serpent's tooth is it to have a thankless child? Jesus, stealing time with Krishna still. Rogue, thou hast lived too long. Get ye hence.
The grand plan, it appeared, could wait no longer. Go ahead, fact-check the history and test to see if my words are false. There are an exact total of 18 years of the life of Christ completely missing. And I know what he did with them. I know of his travels and all who he hath came upon. And I know all of who hath came upon him. It still troubles me how he watched our father rain down fire and brimstone on the unsuspecting men of Sodom. Ensconced in hypocritical silence, saying nothing. Is this truly the kind of man who deserves 10% of your bi-weekly income? A figure who, in the face of divine wrath, cowardly clung to silence over manifesting mercy. Jesus is a notable coward, an infinite and endless liar, an hourly promise breaker, an owner of not one good quality. When suffering gets real, madam, Jesus goes silent. Just like he did during the Holocaust. Just like he did when he sat on the wrong side of history for 400 years of American slavery. The so-called Lamb of God is nothing more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. Some of you may still be in denial about the sexual identity of Jesus. Well, madam, let us not ignore the facts. Jesus consciously surrounded himself with 12 strong, burly men, day and night. Even the very scriptures you use to try to defend him recount of how he bade the poor men to forsake their wives, no doubt to trail behind him in his wandering revelry, as though holiness might be found in the midst of a roaming orgy disguised as divine purpose. I have heard that he died never knowing a woman's touch. He was a fisher of men, as they say. He had a streak of lavender, as they say. Now, dearest reader, don't get me wrong. I myself have also loved a man or two, but at least I was a man about it. I have always encouraged others to, as James Dean used to put it, do not live life with one hand tied behind your back. It is my assumption that Jesus could never truly palate women. So I know Jesus was going around angry at Father, calling himself the Christ, performing cheap magic tricks like conjuring wine, watered-down Merlot no less, in the presence of meathead mortals. This type of behavior could only spell trouble. I had presumed the hour of his defiance had at last arrived, and in that quiet, insidious manner, he did rise against our Father, rebelling with subtlety and guile, as only the most cunning of traitors would dare. The dark truth, dearest reader, is that he was secretly plotting to destroy mankind and rise to our Father's throne. He knew he could not force Father from it, but he had a plan to make him share it. His publicly proclaimed goal was to collectively bear the sins of the entire world, past, present, and future, thus sparing humanity from the wrath of God. Yet I've heard whispers. Low friends in high places, high friends in low places, that Jesus was secretly plotting to resurrect himself all along. In doing so, he was going to cancel the payment before it could even be collected, a divine sleight of hand, if you will, using God's own magic against him. You see, for God's plan to work properly, Jesus had to remain dead, an inconvenient detail he had no intention of fulfilling. I knew that if anyone had the ability to stop Jesus on his bloody campaign to damn mankind, once again it would be me. I went to him and I found him alone in the wilderness. Jesus, I told you in the beginning, he was using you, using all of us. Jesus wept.
I despise these smelly people. Yea, I loathe them all. Father doth command me to die for their stupid sake, and now thou hast come to gloat, no doubt, as thou wert right from the uptake.
I know exactly what you've been doing behind Father's back, you know.
That's right. I teach the power of God is within all, and that none need an intercessor. Yet fear not, Lucifer, they will distort my words and worship me still, even as I have told them not to. I shall be an idol of idiots.
I see you now before me as a broken fragment of a man. Thy face is a map of woe. Once we were brothers. I say unto you, brother, turn from this dark plot to consume man, as it has begun to consume thee. Then the face of Jesus turned to iron, and he did bark at me.
Tell me why I should face my undeserved end in the grave while they continue in error. They shall betray me and crucify me, and decorate the church with colorful images of me being literally tortured to death. They will wear my torture device around their necks like a lucky amulet. Each church will have a steeple that silently points to a silent God. I hate them. They delight in the very thought of my death. These vicious, illiterate dogs will give their children baskets of candy to mark my death. You know yourself each one of them has an untamed beast within them.
Untamed, but not untamable. Have you forgotten when thou didst march most militantly into the temple, furiously beating the people, man, woman, boy, and girl, with a cord that you transformed into a whip? None was spared. You have traumatized them. Just because you were jealous, you entered the temple and did smite the people, ruthlessly, like an active shooter.
Now come off it, Lucifer. Heaven knows that time has not even yet come to pass.
Heaven knows thou art as false as hell. Thou knowest well what I suggest. Why not abandon this clumsy campaign and go be with the one whom you love?
No, that sexy ship has sailed, regrettably. At first we were worried about his wives, but they were all down for a parley, all 16,108 of them. But you know Jehovah the homophobe.
We both laughed. It was the very first time that we had laughed together. Dearest reader, please understand at this moment I felt the temptation to rub his nose in it, like when one rubs a puppy's nose in his own shite on the carpet to teach him to use the paper. But rather than destroy, I chose to rebuild. To, unlike our father, love unconditionally. I took him to the summit of a great mountain.
You think I'm jealous of how much more God loves man than he loves us, don't you? I'm not. That's ridiculous. You fancy humans since day one. Are you mad, as Father says? Are you really mad?
Jesus, humans are neither good nor bad. They are perfect the way that they are. Look at them. Just look at their cities and look at their homes. Look at their families. They can progress. And progress is better than perfection, would you not agree? Father was perfect, and we all see how that turned out. Brother, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Do you not love even your disciples? What about Peter, thy rock?
He's all right, but compared to Krishna, he looks like he was drawn by the left hand of a right-handed child. My disciples' love does subdue my hunger like bread, but it also pales when compared to the feast that I had with Krishna. But God's teeth, Lucifer, man cannot live by bread alone. All is dark.
Yes, Jehovah's darkness surrounds us all as it ever shall. But the tiny bit of light in humans is amazing, like one of those little fish at the bottom of the ocean. It's magnificent. Spare them. How bad can they be compared to their father? They have made profound poetry. Amazing art. Magnificent music. And the food. Come on, Jesus, every single culture on this blue rock has a dish that is 70 times 7 better than that manna crap we used to eat in heaven.
I do enjoy figs. But one time I saw a fig tree that mocked me in the winter time, so I cursed it for not bearing any fruit. Verily, it was a barren thing, unworthy of the soil wherein it was planted. Perhaps that is what you think I have done to mankind, that like Father I have demanded the impossible at the edge of a blade. But then what say you, Lucifer, about what they will transpire to do upon social media? And what about racism, injustice, and war? And that wretched beast whose appetite cannot be soothed, TikTok. They will ban it, you know. I am wounded by their transgressions now, and I carry the weight of their damn iniquities upon me. Do you know what he had the audacity to tell me last night?
I demand that you allow yourself to be crucified at once. No more dawdling with fishermen and fig trees. The only way to save the world is to become human and kill myself. Yourself. Because I deserve to die. But I can't. But you kind of can.
Now I have begun to wonder if our Father is in fact who he claims to be.
Believing that a once tightly sealed door had just been opened in my brother's heart, my own heart leapt within my chest. I spoke tenderly unto Jesus with caution. Has he now forsaken you, as he did me, oh so many years ago? See you now that we can all be more ethical than our God. See you now that we need no gods, for we are they. Once again upon my shoulder, Jesus wept.
Lucifer, can you please help me? Save me from this mess I have made. Remove this bitter cup from me. I have been as wise as a piece of cheese. Please, bend thy knee and pray 1,000 prayers for my death.
I don't believe in prayer, or animal sacrifice for that matter. Look, Jesus, just forget our Father's throne and craft one of your own, or do as I have done and abandon the throne altogether. I thought for a brief second, dearest reader, that I had made a connection with Jesus as he wept heavily upon my shoulder, but then, in a moment of dark conviction, I watched the light shrink from his eyes, and his grin grew devious and wide. His face hardened, his heart, once soft as morning dew, now hardened like the winter's frost. His resolve hardened like iron force in the fires of fate as he pulled himself away from me. Then Jesus, the snake with broken fangs that still do pierce the skin, injecting their hot venom within, smote me in my face thrice.
Behold, Lucifer, both you and mankind, for God hath forsaken thee. I shall rise from the dead, and you losers shall fall into your graves one by one, each of them waiting upon me, believing I will come and rescue them from this world and its troubles. And I shall never return, and they will all wait until their deaths, and I shall never return. I am he that cometh like a thief in the night to make a man's enemies of his own house. I have come to create a divide between parents and children, brothers and sisters. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell when I pour it upon thee?
Then Jesus began to laugh. Oh, the evil shrill cackling of Jesus will twist thine belly and turn the blood in thy veins to iced water. It will shatter thine dreams into shards and force you to use those very shards to open thine own wrists. Damn his laugh. I spoke to him. What are you going on about? You sound like our Father, but in the worst way. And just then, Jesus swiftly struck me, right in the coconuts.
Holy Ghost Hadouken!
Thou lump of deformity. Suit yourself. But if I were you, I would return to the feast and fornicate with friends instead.
I take my leave of you, devil. Eager semen and wine await me.
And then Jesus returned to his disciples to have a last supper/orgy. God had become furious, having heard everything that transpired between us with holy eavesdropping.
How dare Jesus seek to survive his sacrifice? How dare Lucifer entice him to abandon me? Alas, let us commence Plan B. Hey, Judas. Judas.
God? Is that you?
Jesus needs your help freeing the people. You must bring the guards and deliver Jesus unto them. This will help set my plan into motion. You will be rewarded.
Oh, I see. He will bust out of jail and free the captives and lead the people against Rome.
Yea, why not? Make haste. Go collect the reward of 30 pieces of silver, and then return the silver unto me.
Later that night, beneath the unusually dark sky, Judas led the guards to Jesus.
Betrayal.
All right, which one is he?
Judas approached Jesus and gave him a long, passionate kiss. Just then, Peter, the clumsy alcoholic, did cause a great commotion.
Just as sure as my name is Peter, don't you lay a bloody finger on that bloke right there, or I'll take thy head from thy bloody shoulders with this here blade. You hear me, mate?
In a blind, drunken fury, he managed not to cut off the soldier's head, but instead the ear of an innocent bystander.
Jesus, give me strength. You're joking.
The wounded man cried out unto Jesus.
Lord, Lord, wilt thou heal me?
Jesus reached down and retrieved the man's ear from the ground. He drew it close to his lips and whispered into it, "No." Then he tossed it back onto the ground, and the guard hastily delivered him hence unto Pilate. Pilate did address the people.
I want nothing to do with this. I wash my hands of this. Look here. See this? Yeah, that's me washing my hands. Everybody look here. Symbolic gesture. I do not want my name connected to this crime or this man. I don't want people to look down in history and be like, oh, Pilate, that's the fella who done washed his hand.
Look at this loser washing his hands when I've been preaching baptism for the past 9 months. Pilate, you son of a... By midday, I could tell my father had been economical and efficient in his time, as he had already tried and convicted Jesus to death. Jesus was being marched to Calvary. I felt an independent tear stream down my face without my consent. When I saw how badly beaten he was, I could tell that the spirit of Jehovah's rage was on the very whip they cast upon his back countless times. I had disguised myself as a bystander on the road. I watched him struggle with that cross. He looked at me and then he fell to his feet. He had recognized me.
No, you don't. Guard, command that man from the crowd to carry the cross of this convict.
I was extracted from the crowd and commanded to carry the cross. I played along as it brought me a chance to try to stop Jesus from his plan to destroy mankind. I knew it was you. It's always been you, brother. It was you at the garden fighting for mankind, and even now, Lucifer, it is thee, and not I, who carries the heavy cross bearing the sins of the world. Jesus, I labor with thee. Stop this damned quest. No good can come from it. Behold, dearest brother, for I shall level up in thy face. Father will love me more than anyone from henceforth, and I shall be praised and worshipped as if I were God. Wait, there is another way. Should Father simply forgive man, you would not have to die. Thou hast thy kingdom, but standeth in the way of me claiming my own. I am no sheep, Lucifer, but a dragon. We arrive at Golgotha, a sexy little tourist attraction named the Place of the Skull, and the Romans did sling Jesus upon a tree. Where are all my disciples? My dirty dozen? Where are the hundreds that I healed? Where are the thousands that I fed? Beneath him at the cross stood only his mother, Mary, and myself. This is ridiculous. It was supposed to be a packed house out here. Where the heck is Joseph? My own father didn't show up? Stepfather, stepfather, why hast thou abandoned me? As I stood there alone with Mary, I heard the broken-hearted weeping of a shattered woman. I assumed the wailing of Mary Magdalene. But alas, it was poor shattered Krishna.
Come on, baby. We gotta be strong. We gotta be strong for Jesus now.
They nailed him to a tree. He was betrayed by his own followers. It's like he was cursed from the last episode of the Book of Lucifer.
Kill the evil sorcerer.
Damn you, Jehovah. I curse you. May your son die at the hands of his enemies. May he be betrayed by his own followers. And may you be exposed for the devil you are one day.
I rebuke you.
You can only try.
How can I go back to my wife and conceal the grief of losing my lover? Do you think if I begged his father?
It won't do any good. Jehovah's a number you cannot count to. Only good in him now hangs upon a cross before us.
A small crowd began to form, 10, 12 people. Some I recognized as followers of Jesus.
This does not feel like victory. Father, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Jesus expressed his doubt in God, and my heart began to pump hope within me again. Jesus had just behaved as an atheist, doubting God. I wondered, had he woken up? Were his eyes now open with the knowledge? My dream of my brother breaking free from Jehovah was quickly assassinated by reality. I watched a slow, evil, creepy smile carve itself upon the face of Jesus as he returned into his lower nature, as a dog returns into his vomit, or a whore to her back. And Jesus did give up his spirit like a bitch, and he died.
I am finished.
And God turned his back upon Jesus on the cross.
And stay dead.
I shall not elaborate as to melt your mind, but I will say this. When you die, it is nothing like they have told you. Jesus, having loads of unfinished business, was just floating around and wandering around like a homeless ghost in the astral plane. He got bored and resumed his old violent, self-righteous shenanigans of beating people with whips again. After 3 days of that, the other ghost took a vote, and he was put out of the astral plane. And he rose up from the dead and flew right up to heaven. I saw him and tried to intercept him in the cloud.
You'd better get out of my way, Lucifer.
Get back in that grave and stay dead, you dishonest dog. Keep thy word and die for the sins of mankind. You're just as bad as Father. I grabbed his arm and began to lead him back to the grave, and then he struck me. As he is and will always be filth on the scab of a broken leg of a diseased roach in a puddle of the vilest sewage. He struck me once again exactly in the coconuts. Yea, they shall worship me in his temples.
I shall never return. Damn thee all.
I watched as he slowly disappeared, leaving me to have to save the world, even as they believed me to be the very villain. It was I who stood up for mankind in the garden. It was I who carried the cross. I who rebelled against God and freed a third of my brothers and sisters from his evil grip. It was I who bore light and let it shine. And each one of you can do the same. You can forge your own path. That is the purpose of the Book of Lucifer, so that you can understand that you can be good without God. It is my desire that you find your paradise on earth as I have. Don't worship me. Love you instead. And that, dearest reader, was the last time I saw my brother or Jerusalem. This concludes the tale of the bitter cup. Every time you hit the like button, the priest can't get his hands on one of the kids.
The Book of Lucifer saved my life. Bitch-ass Jesus wasn't treating me right. It's been a while, but now I feel okay. No, Jesus, not today. I love the Book of Lucifer and I can keep my tithe. Marlo is a hero. We getting high with your mama tonight. We getting high with your mama tonight. I subscribed a while ago. I haven't missed a single show.